Forged from the love of liberty in the fires of hope and prayer, with boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare. Side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land. We pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation.
Heavenly Father, we come before you at the start of this new day, giving thanks for life, for health, and the opportunity to serve through this station. We ask for your divine presence to guide us in all we do. Bless this broadcast, that it may be a source of inspiration, joy, and unity to all who tune in. Whether near or far, may our words uplift, our music heal, and our message bring light to those who need it most. We pray for our listeners wherever they may be. Grant them strength for the day ahead, peace in their hearts, and success in all they put their hands to. Cover those traveling with your protection and those at home with your comfort and provision. Lord, may everything we do bring honor to you and be a blessing to others. Guide our steps, bless our efforts, and let this station be a vessel of positivity and hope. In your name we pray. Amen.
Your voice, your soundtrack, your station. New Era TT Radio, NETT Radio.
Country and fair and lion. Hard like steel and iron. Yeah, yeah.
If you want your session mash up tonight, tell them call me. And if you want your party swinging all night, tell them call me. If you want to see all hands up in the air, tell them call me. Misbehaving all night like we don't care, tell them call me. Every year I'm hearing people complain, time to bring the vibes back to partying. From the fete to the road on carnival day, uptown to downtown, it don't matter where. Well, if you want your fete mash up, fine, 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 call me. With everybody having a time.
Hey, I will get the girl to wine on the tweeter. You will get the girl to wine on the bass. I will get the girl to jump on the speaker. You will get the crowd just to mash up the place. I will get the crowd just to pick up momentum, and you will get the crowd just to pick up the pace. I will get the crowd to get in a section and blaze.
If you want your session mash up tonight, tell them call me. And if you want your party swinging all night, tell them call me. If you want to see all hands up in the air, tell them call me. Misbehaving all night like we don't care, tell them. So tell amnesia, wetted and mocha. Hey, what's up? Custom fire, insomnia, all over. Uptown and downtown, tell them around town.
Tell them call me and call me now. I like a runaway train, so just call me now. Listen up, buddy, yeah, the people are ball me now. Don't try trip me and fall me now. Hey, call quick and call quick. The crowd ready to please and me nasty. Make you booking in paper or plastic, and don't stretch me out like
This song
elastic.
is a kind of something to keep you whining, keep the crowd them jumping and hands up, they waving. See whole night we fetting from night till morning.
has just got better. You're locked into NETT Radio Breakfast Show. Fueling your day with the best music and real talk.
Well, everybody, good morning to you. Good morning, Trinidad. Good morning to Tobago. The people that are streaming up and down the Eastern Caribbean. All our friends and family that are coming in from all around the globe. A good day to you. And of course, welcome to the beautiful, gorgeous Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. This is the home of New Era TT Radio, NETT Radio, the heartbeat of the Caribbean. We take you above and beyond. I want to take this opportunity to say much thanks to the Heavenly Father, as always, for bringing us together for another day. And all that we do, dear God, let it be a blessing honor to you. People, I'm your story, Sir Charles. Happy am I to be here with you in the land of the living. And we want to take the opportunity to welcome everybody. This is your Get Up and Go. Welcome to the Breakfast Show.
Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The Breakfast Show got the vibes turned on. From Maracas Bay to the Savannah line, let's start the day in Caribbean prime. Good vibes rolling through the air. The Breakfast Show, energy everywhere. We talk, we laugh, we make you think. Grab your doubles or your morning drink.
My mic got disconnected again. Good morning. Is it still there, right? Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Show on this Tuesday morning. I'm beaming to you live out of Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, good morning to you wherever you are, whether you're listening or watching us. Hope you are having a great morning so far. And good morning to my co-hosts, Wendell and Sir Charles.
Good morning to you guys. Nice to be here with you. And let's look forward to a great show today.
Hi, morning, Sir Charles, morning, Richard, morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and good morning, listeners and viewers all over the globe. It's Tuesday, October 14th.
Yeah.
What is wrong with this stupid Alexa now? It's the birthday of Cheryl Duff, Joanne Haru Blackman, Karuna Moonan, Nicole Britton, Michael Toussaint, Nadia Sullivan, Alan Belgrave, Shine James, and Lauren Adisa Batiste, and also Renee Bailey. They're all celebrating their birthdays today, and also Ken Taylor, former councillor in Port of Spain. October 14th, those are the people celebrating birthdays today. All right?
Okay, cool.
Well, budget day came and went. A lot of expectations fulfilled and a lot of expectations unfulfilled. The one thing I don't understand is the issue of the 10% to the public servants. What is the actual timeline on that? I didn't quite follow the statement made that caused so much desk stumping. Is it that they're going to be getting their 10% immediately? Is it that they're going to be getting their back pay immediately? What does it mean?
No. You never said immediately.
No, that's why I'm asking.
No, he said, well, I don't think he can answer all of your questions because what he simply said was that we were going to direct the CPU to look at the range, I think 2014 to 2019, and to lift it to 10%.
So start discussions at 10%.
Yeah, well, that you're giving them at least 10%, I guess. That's what the thing is. That's how it came across, at least. Even though I know people have been discussing it and talking about, well, it's really what Commonwealth would have offered was 4% and 5%. So 4% from I'm just saying years that may not actually be the correct years. But let's say from 2014 to 2016, 4%. From 2016 to 2019, 5%. So what Conrad was actually offering them over that entire period was 9%.
It was 9%.
So it's just 1% more.
It's 1% more.
Yeah, that's how some people are interpreting it. But until you get the Minister of Finance to specifically clarify or interrogate him on the issue, and of course PSA, they can clear it up, I guess.
I think all people want to know is when they're getting the money. That's all people are really interested in it.
Well, that wasn't clear.
Yeah.
Because if you're directing the CPO, you know, or that they will direct the CPO, it's not going to be clear when that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, you know.
That's one. I mean, I didn't have a problem with some of the things I heard. I didn't understand the rum, beer, and cigarettes.
But before we get into discussing the budget, maybe we should do the good news and the greetings first.
Oh, I thought that was the good news. Sorry.
Did you see me play any opening segment? I said it was good news. You saw that?
I thought we go and sing these praises and we go.
Specifically need to hear this today, so I'm going to make sure that you do. You might as well live. Because when you really zoom out, none of this matters. We're all just visitors here, borrowing time, chasing meaning, trying to leave fingerprints on a planet that will forget our names. The sun's been burning for billions of years, and one day it'll just burn out, taking every ego, every argument, every I told you so with it. So why not live like you were never meant to stay? The apartment that you stress over, the job title that you cling to, the person who didn't text back, none of it follows you. Someone else will live right where you're standing. Your photos will be buried under new memories. Your name, it'll just be a whisper in a family tree that no one even looks at. And yet here we are, losing sleep over opinions, chasing validation from the people who are just as lost as we are. But when you realize how small this all is, how temporary, how fragile, something shifts. You stop performing for ghosts. You stop living for applause. You stop waiting for someday. You start showing up now. You start loving louder. You start risking failure, because failure means you tried. If you zoom out far enough, you'll see we're on a spinning rock in infinite space, and somehow you were chosen to feel, to create, to connect. And that's not an accident. That is a miracle. So yeah, you might as well live. You might as well love like you mean it. You might as well speak the truth while you've got the breath to do it. Because if everything fades, then the only thing that ever mattered was how alive you were while you were here, right now. Follow now.
All right, so that was our good news segment for this morning. A little bit of,
I don't know him at all. I can't say that I've ever seen or heard him before.
But a very good message.
Yeah.
A very, very good message. Sometimes there are some reality checks that you need to make. And sometimes things like these, when they come across your path, really makes you stop and look in the mirror. And it can also take you in different paths and directions. So really good. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Richard.
Yeah. Somebody somewhere is affected by that today.
Yeah. All right. I guess we could go straight to the chat. And I don't know if you all noticed, there's something different in the chat today.
How the names are coming up.
The names are coming up with the and sign before it. At sign before it. You know what they call that? This is not an ampersand. Ampersand is the and, right? This is what? This is the at. It's coming up. All the names are coming up like that this morning. Well, most of them have it.
Well, before we go on, just to clarify, in case you wanted to follow the guy we just saw, his name is Sacred Thomas. So that's if you wanted to. Sacred Thomas. Yeah. That's the title he goes by.
A lot of young people now are taking on, being given names along those lines. Because the guy who I met the other day, who did my vehicle, who did over my vehicle, I should say, gave it a spruce. His name is Shalom. I said, but were your parents? I mean, I questioned it and then I just dismissed it. I said, fine, your name is Shalom. You understand? But it's some strange names that are being given to a lot of young people now. Sacred, Shalom. Strange, very strange.
A lot of people call me Saint. So.
What they call you?
Saint, he said.
Saint.
Oh. I think the microphone is giving a little problem, you know, Richard. You kind of a little stuttering on the microphone. I don't know if you need to.
I give up. I give up on what people call one another. I give up on what they call me. I give up these days. I am beaten. I have to say, for the first time in a long while, I feel beaten. So you ready for the people on the chat?
Yeah. We could go there.
Yeah. Valerie Mendoza came in at 12:30. Everybody has a kind of number next to the name today. Valerie Mendoza 8768. Margaret Thomas J8C, she came in. Anthony Tinto 7090. What does that mean? Is that real?
No, that has nothing to do with me. I don't know if that is a StreamYard feature that they, these developers always coming up with something that they feel,
They're naming you by a number, that's the end times. They say that's a sign of the end times when you're known by a number. Felix Kazo 7498. Brennan Smith 5425. So all you take these numbers and go and play or do something with them,
That's too much number.
You saw a number coming up next to all of your name. And we have nothing to do with it. Right? Ozzy Molino 2876. Michael Cadet 4978. Take note of your number. Go and play it all wrong side, backward, forward, add it up, multiply it, divide it, and you'll get something today. Marlon Motley 9895. Erica Charles 2154. Boy BDC T5P. Boy, you have a weird one there. Manuela Peters 8430. Hill Benj 624. Super Valdez, you got no number. Rena Jennings, you got no number. Julia Samanthas 8783. Diane Payne 4643. Carol Guevara D4M. Marwin, whoever Marwin is, that's Ingrid from Tucson. Huh? But her name completely changed to Marwin 555. Ava Smith D1R. Doreen Pierre 3734. Sherwin Kerr 63. That's Sherwin and Juliet Kerr. Nicola McNichols 3524. Debbie Modest. Eunice Dublin. Garvin Frank. Nicola McNichols 3524. By the way, with the loss of electricity income from schools, I think we had an electricity outage yesterday and everything gone whack in my house.
Yeah.
Wayne Ramsey 5284. Kathy Ann Charles 4168. Rena Jennings. Josie Richardson 735. Apollina's 3771. Lambert Bruce 3193. Florence Bazi 6984. Odell Guy 4786. Oliver Manwarin. Brent Hackshaw 918. Trinidad Margot. Dean Allen 2294. Dwayne Sylvester 4304. Bernadette Yates, Bernadette and Alicia Yates, that is. Susie B. QM3EP, I believe that's Susie Billowin. Michael Granderson 2313, that's Sankofa. CPT Singh, no number. Darren Lead 1977. Cat Consulting Services 6149. That's Chris Tusa. He says, oh, the cock wake up this morning. Be careful with distracted driving. It gets expensive, but the infraction is unclear. Oh, and almost like a similar version of the merit points was stuck in the budget yesterday with some punishments for different things, right? You all saw that? Some things went from $0 to $15,000. Carol Guevara, Ambrose Blah, 1280. Sankofa is chatting away. Jillian Denner, 9861. Dean Allen, Dilip Celeste, 3578. Love this. Good morning, and I so love you, Richard. Yeah, Mama Guy.
Yeah, good morning, Mrs. R.
Yeah. Easy for them to say I love you now, yes? Biznat Prasad.
Don't put your baggage on the show, please. Don't put your baggage on the show.
Andrea, I very rarely hear people saying I love you now. Andrea V5Y 3R. Andrea, I have a special number there. Jillian Denner 9861. Yvette Scipio 3088. Sherma Paul RASMHB, whoever that is. Welcome. Natalie Hoyt Z9U. K George 475. Joyce Phillip 8. Easy number to remember. Ron DeSantis Jr. didn't give you a number, and I feel I know why. Lyndon ILB9DN. Claire Lenore Rollins, Elizabeth YF9GJ. In all seriousness, where does these things come from? Nobody knows. Mol Makomi V5, or I feel there's somebody tracking all it on, eh? Carlos Gonzalez JM5BZ, Anthony Atwell 2428, Andre V5Y3R. This is used to monitor. I think so, you know. Good morning, gentlemen. Another chapter in the Great Deception. So says Kazim Mohammed, number 7487. Mr. Flavor TT. Good morning, gentlemen. Have a blessed day. David McCarthy 5975. Morning to a terrific trio. GHTXT2ZB. Wow. Elizabeth YF9GJ. Andrea also said the symbol is used to mention another, use whatever that means. Strange. Yeah, it's at something. You highlight people using that symbol. And keep your gloves up, Wendell. Thank you, Mogains. RASMBH is Robert from St. Anne's. Oh, that's Robert Harper from St. Anne's. So you see his name completely changed. Miguel Gonzalez. Good morning, TT. Ebony 191977 says good morning all, and the big beautiful appropriation bill 2026. Wendell, why you think I didn't get a number? I think I know why. I think you might be the one giving out the numbers.
He's the man with the fork in the fire.
One understand, this might be the one only giving out the numbers, eh? The track all it down. You know, he's come across like an espionage man already.
Good morning, Virginia.
All right, so those are the greetings on the chat.
All right, so let's go to where
Senator Sampson have H15YV. Now, Ms. Sampson, I don't know if you notice HIV inside of your thing there, you know, right? Careful.
Anyhow, we're going to the space where your name stays the same, which is on the WhatsApp. So good morning to Pauline. She got in early. Fifi out there in Addis Ababa. Good day to you. Carlin in Carenage. Kent in Laventel. Suzanne is here also from Chaguanas. Captain Ron in Orlando. Terry and Peters in Mova. Archbishop Ashton Clark in Canada, Zena and the Arima people, good morning. Far Rockaway, good morning to you, big guy. Mr. Beeps, Pity Valley people, good day to you. Horatio, hope that you're having a fantastic day. And Mr. Billy out there in Powder Magazine, all you beautiful people on the net, good morning to you. And all of us people who are streaming on Gayelle, good morning to the Gayelle family. We welcome you guys, and we look forward to some more interaction from you people in the Gayelle channel. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and Jason Samuel, just before you go, Sir Charles, before we do the ads, Jason Samuel, I know that I saw something about, well, akin to demerit points, but it's worse. Fines for careless driving have been increased to $15,000. Driving while disqualified, $5,000. Driving under the influence, $15,000. So they may have removed demerit points, but they've put some very, very serious fines on certain infractions on the road.
yeah, people have to be conscious of what they're doing, man. I mean the thing getting totally out of hand now, man.
Yeah. Getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joyce Phillips, good morning to you. All right. So let's take that break, and we will be back in a short.
Don't miss Furniture Plus Inventory Blowout Sale. Get up to 65% off in-store and online. Enjoy massive savings on furniture, appliances, and more. Hurry, this deal won't last. Shop now and save big at Furniture Plus.
Charm Flair Auto Services Limited, your one-stop auto repair shop, located at number 1 Industrial Lane, Charm Flair, right opposite the brewery on the Eastern Main Road. Yes, we do it all. Repairs to all makes and models, from your everyday sedan to SUVs, light trucks, pickups, and panel vans. We're also the sole distributors of Davanti tires, certified VTS inspection station, plus a wide range of services: oil change, front end and suspension repairs, tune-ups, tire alignment, batteries, electrical work, radiator and cooling system, AC repairs, and accessories galore. We offer pickup and drop-off service too. Call us today at 662-6545 or 662-6572. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Charm Flair Auto Services Limited, number 1 Industrial Lane, Charm Flair. We do it all.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newerattradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for?
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box.
The public is demanding it, so the laughter continues. Your Dolly Faldo Watch Gone is now at Central Bank Auditorium for 2 nights only. Saturday, October 25th at 8:30 p.m. and Sunday, October 26th at 6:30 p.m. Don't miss the play that some say is the funniest of all time. Tickets available now online and at the usual outlets. And from Monday, October 20th, 12 noon to 6 p.m. daily at the Central Bank box office. Your Dolly Faldo Watch Gone has been matching up audiences.
All right, so we are back on the breakfast show, and of course, today is post-budget day, basically. Are you hearing me clearly, Sir Charles? Because I know you said my mic was getting.
Yeah, we are a lot better there right now. Thanks much.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's post-budget, so a lot to go through in the budget, and what was said yesterday. Of course, it's the first budget of the current UNC government. And so several things were put into place. We touched on some of them with regard when I just mentioned the increase in fines for certain driving offences. That was one. There was also some time spent on transfer pricing. We talked about that. So, which of course you really need somebody in the energy sector to really explain how that works and why there would have been some why it was such an important part of it, and how it is going to give more revenue in terms of it. Of course, there was a thing with landlords where landlords have to register and they pay a percentage of their income to inland revenue, I guess.
Yeah, 2005.
Yeah, but that's the registration fee.
Yeah, the registration fee is 2005.
Right, and then you have, I think if you earn up to 20,000 a year, you pay, or beyond 20,000 a year, you pay in income from rental, you pay 0.25% or some. I can't remember exactly the figures.
I don't know how they monitor that one. Huh?
You pay a percentage, and then if you're above another threshold, I think it's 30 or 40,000, you pay another your percentile in terms of your tax. Let's call it a tax because that's what it is. You pay an additional percentage. All of these are revenue measures. What else they said? The issue of electricity rates going up by per extra kilowatt was something like that.
It's however, doubling for commercial and industrial places, not residential.
No, yeah, but I don't know if it's doubling. Is it doubling?
It's almost like double.
Yeah, for commercial and industrial. And now it may seem as if that doesn't affect you, but of course it will, because it means commercial and industrial include supermarkets.
Yes.
And they didn't say an exception for supermarkets, so it means the price of food is going to go up.
Yeah.
Logically, because businesses look at overheads, and whatever the overheads are, they put it into their whatever their costing is, and that affects price.
Yeah.
Basic mathematics. So everything that is done against businesses is really a transference of cost. Maybe not completely a transference to the customer, but certainly a percentage of it is going to go to the customer. And so if commercial and industrial customers are going to have to pay more for electricity rates, that increased overhead is going to translate to increased prices to customers. That's just the facts of life.
Yeah.
So it means the price of supermarket goods, and I'm zoning in on that because that's a complaint of people right now, even without it. So I found it was a little strange when I saw that measure. I said, but that's going to affect consumers across the country in whatever you do. Because once you're a commercial and industrial customer, it means anything you're buying from somebody is probably going to go up.
Yes.
Because they're using electricity to make it, whatever it is. So beyond, let's go down the road. Let's say beyond, give me a major brand here that in Trinidad and Tobago. Let's say MP, they are a brand of food processing. They're going to get increased costs in terms of their food processing. So they're going to send up their peas and carrots. I'm just going to say because they have an increased cost in electricity. So they're going to send up their peas and carrots cost. So let's say Massey is buying it for $2 a tin. They'll say, well, now you're going to have to pay $2.50 or $2.75 because I have to factor in the electricity cost. Massey also has to now pay an increase.
The factor, yeah.
So Massey say, okay, I'm buying it for you for $2.75. But now I have to add on my cost to my electricity cost. So it's now going to cost you $3. So what you were paying $2.25 for, you're going to see jump to $3. I'm just giving a simple example.
Yes.
But that's how it works. That's how businesses operate. So it, obviously to me, and unless somebody can explain to me why it wouldn't go up, to me it's going to go up.
Yeah.
Chain reaction.
And that works for any commercial customer.
Yeah.
And everything you buy is generally from a commercial customer, unless you're buying it from somebody who is not registered as commercial.
Yeah. What I expected to hear and didn't hear is how they're addressing all these people the thousands of people who would have lost their jobs. that wasn't addressed at all. They just simply say they're doing away with URP and CPEP and finding more sustainable permanent jobs. But they didn't say how, when, where.
They did say, I agree with you in part, but what they did say is that they were creating an unemployment fund with $475 million, and then they're adding another $300 something million to that. So that will then be worked out in terms of how they're going to get those people better paying jobs. And all of this, they said, doing away with CPEP and URP was to get away from the gang culture being financed. This is what he said.
Right.
And he said the Prime Minister would explain that.
Well, I wait to hear that because I wasn't sure what was that about, because it doesn't give all the thousands of people who would have lost their jobs any type of hope.
No.
You understand? And very little to nothing was mentioned about local government. It was like a one line. You know? I said, my God.
And then even less was mentioned for culture.
Well, yeah.
In terms of the only thing that I heard mentioned for culture was some sort of exchange, and anybody in the group in the comment section could correct me if I'm wrong, was concerning some exchange with India, and that they were going to facilitate certain Trinidad and Tobago cultural groups going to India. There's going to be some sort of exchange. Like steel bandsmen, and they said culture generically. That was the only reference I heard to culture. I don't know if I missed it because I didn't watch it all the time. I just watched in parts. But you know me, I always find budget statements are too long. One, and I don't know, that's a third world thing. I don't know, but budget statements are way too long. I find you should just give your key points. Say this is $59 billion. This is the key points. Anything else you want to know, it's online right now. Check it out and move on.
Brian, quite on. He was the only person to ever do that.
Yeah, but of course, they use it, politicians use it as a grandstanding and to poke at the other side. They use it as that. And to boast how things will be better, I guess. But they're entitled to, but I just find it unwieldy, and long budget statements I find quite irritating. As me.
Yeah.
So, but maybe some people love it because they have nothing else to do. And then also you had the issue of the what did he talk about again, Wendell? He talked about
but we spoke about the tax for landlords and so on, right? Which is in effect a kind of property tax. We spoke about that. The gas, the super gas going down by $1 per liter, which means if you're spending, you may spend $50 less on a tank of gas. I don't know how that will affect, how many people that will affect. I think most people most cars, the new cars certainly, and most people use premium, and of course the trucks need diesel. Is it that people are going to switch to super in the premium car? I wouldn't advise it. I'm no mechanic, but I wouldn't advise it. So I would have liked to see that reduction also come from premium, because both of those gas and we went over the subsidy in them already before, and we were actually making money on those before. That the subsidy.
If you say that again, Wendell, sorry.
The subsidy on those gases, and we had already gone over it, and we didn't need to raise it as much as we could. You remember? You remember that whole story?
Yeah, that was always confusing to me, so I don't even want to venture down that rabbit hole, because I think at one point we were actually paying more in gas when oil had dropped.
Yeah.
But anyway, but super is down by $1, so it will benefit some people. But you're right. There are a lot of people who use premium because of they feel it's better on the engine.
All small engine machinery uses premium, you know. Your whackers, your chainsaws, all those small, your blowers, those things use premium, you know, not super, you know. All small engine devices use premium.
Yeah, but there are quite a bit of vehicles that are using super gasoline, you know. And I suppose maybe they probably felt that more high-end vehicles are using premium gas, so they could probably afford it. But as Richard said, a lot of new vehicles are coming, which the average man is buying now. and it's replacing a lot of these super vehicles. But there's still a number of people who use super gas.
Well, unless that catering for all the flood of cars that they're gonna allow to come in again too, where foreign use cars can now they've increased the amount of years.
Yes, they increased the amount of years. Well, I suppose that makes cars. That will probably, it will make cars a bit, but those foreign use cars cheaper for consumers. The older the car, the cheaper it gets.
Yeah.
So I suppose all of that would be part of it. I'm trying to see what else he said.
Well, let's do the.
You know what?
Yeah, I was saying let's do headlines and then we.
All right.
Because we get in stock.
We could chat around it.
Yeah. Remind me to remember digital IDs. I want to talk about that when we come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. The headlines in today's Express today is October 14th. Promises made, promises kept. Government putting TNT first, says Kamla. Tanku Sport a budget priority. And in other headlines in the Express, budget statement 2026. Nurse found dead, covered in blood in Vistabella apartment. Tonight is the bongo night. Young woman killed in early morning crash in Couva. Matura mourns beloved parishioner killed on his way to church. Those are all some trending stories in today's Express.
All right, so I can do the news day. The news day for today. Tilapuna Chamber welcomes economic fairness budget. PSA ready to talk to CPO after 10% wage hike promise. PM on UNC government's first budget, all about fairness and equity. Tanku announces judicial reforms, constitutional right to timely justice. Flash flooding in South and Central Trinidad. Health sector gets $8.214 million in budget allocation. Of course, thing got the most, education, as usual. Well, a lot of times education gets the most, and this year was no different. Sales tax to replace VAT. That's another thing that they talked about too, the replacement of VAT. And Tanku's 0.25% asset levy for banks, insurance companies. That's also something that's also going to send up your bank charges and bank fees. Because you know they are businesses.
They love to pass on charges.
They're going to pass it on, and they're not shy about passing on nothing to you.
Nothing.
Banks not shy at all. They'll just tell you this is the new charge, and you just go, okay. But that's it. So Charles, you can do the Guardian.
All right. So in the Guardian today, wage joy for workers. For Finance Minister delivers 10% pay hike for public servants, and opposition coins 2026 budget fake and fraudulent. And we look forward to the opposition's response. Chief Secretary, when Richard didn't talk about this one, Chief Secretary elated as Tobago gets highest allocation in 10 years. $5 million period poverty fund in budget. Victory belongs to workers. PSA celebrates 10% wage offer. So we have to wait and see how that is broken down. Chamber welcomes budget plans, urges focus on execution. Government launches 146 million digital drive to modernize classrooms, and stakeholders seek details on upgrades in 6.4 billion security budget. There's some of those headlines in the Guardian.
I think that's all three.
Yeah, that is it.
That should be all three. All right. So I guess we could open the lines. Lots of information coming in. As I said, I didn't have too much of a problem with what I heard yesterday. I don't know how the taxes on alcohol and beers and alcohol and cigarettes will work, though. I don't understand that. In terms of how it will work for the end user, that is the people who actually smoking or drinking. How will that work? So that needs to be cleared up, I guess, because at the end of the day, if you take, and I know, was anything done about gambling? They spoke heavily about gambling prior.
They talked about the illegal lotteries.
Yeah,
The
but nothing really
the illegal vendors who say, but if you play where you know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If you play with it.
Government is the biggest gambler,
Huh?
Government is the biggest gambler,
Well, they talked about that. They talked about raising fees with regard, not raising penalties or with regard to that. What else they talked about? But I have it here,
All right. Well, let's take a couple calls as we divide the people inside.
Just
right?
excuse me for being off camera for a bit, right?
Yeah, no problem. So good morning, Miss Sampson.
Good morning, gentlemen. I don't normally listen to the budget, but from what you all are saying there, I don't see nothing much wrong with the budget. You cancel property tax and then you bring something else to make money. The CPEP workers were supposed to work half day and go to school, take some courses and whatnot, which they didn't do. Where are they filling in CPEP workers now? Where are they getting jobs? Are they sending them to get some certificate or something? Because, like I said, they didn't grasp the opportunity to go to school in the afternoon. I think that is how CPEP did start. Or correct me if I am wrong. But I don't see no big thing. What Abdullah can build up my capital in gas. I don't see nothing much with it's just go around the mulberry bush.
No, Miss Sampson, that
you
Dalen
take
gas.
it here and you shove it so, and you take it so, and you shove it back so.
Miss Sampson,
that's all I see with the budget.
That Dalen gas is about $200 a month in gas, on average, Yeah, but I think where the CPEP and URP is concerned, he did indicate that the Prime Minister will, give more details because they have something proposed for a more permanent structure for CPEP and the URP. But exactly the details, I think he was leaving that for the Prime Minister to give that detail. All right. Caller, good morning to you. Are you there? All right, I lost you. Let's go back to the other line. Good morning to you.
So, Charles?
Yes, Darby.
Hello? All right, I hear you. You hear me?
I'm hearing you very well.
Hello?
Yes, I am hearing you, Darby. Go ahead.
All right, so let me... Okay, I have to go ahead, right?
Yeah, but you go ahead. You go ahead. We have you.
So, right, so I didn't listen as I said I wasn't going to, because I know the thumping of the desk would have taken place, and from what I understand, that is exactly what happened. So, but I listened to the post-cabinet news conference from the Prime Minister. There was something she was saying, and she knows it's kind of confusing, but one of the questions that was asked about the LPG, and because the price of gas went up, right? Technically, she said, "What about it?" She was saying that most people use the little, just how I put it, the little 20 pound. So, Charles, most people don't use that. A lot of people use the 100 pound gas tanks.
No, a lot of people use use all of them, because right? I mean, a lot of people, especially in my area, I don't see people coming out with more 100 pound deliveries and things. I see when these small
because
gas.
The Charles,
but that's what I'm saying. But yes, I don't want to say like most people because I'm not sure. But I know a lot of people use it. Yeah.
Well, okay. Let me not say most people. You can't say, well, you only do that because the majority of people use 20 pounds. So charge that 20 pound gas cylinder, because I don't know for you, but when I used to use it, I only use it because of a short term. If the electricity goes or something, if I do something else, I don't use gas stove really. It's like it lasts in 2 weeks because of what I do, right? So I don't use it because of that. But the thing is, so why did you raise the price from 150 to 160, from 150 to 180? There are two different prices. One is 165. So that 165 will now cost maybe 200, but the one from 150 has moved to 180. right? So that is as an additional cost for people who have, food businesses, food establishments. That is a big cost for them by the gas, right? Right. And then the VAT prices that you said of the food, the VAT for the food prices, such as salt, such as I pay $5 salt and that lasts me 6 months. And the price getting cheaper because when I went the last 6 months, it was $4 for 5 pounds of salt. What VAT it could be? So all the take it for the salt, and then salt not so good for your body anyway to be using so much salt and these little items. But the increase for the electricity surcharge for the businesses, that is what is going to drive up the price of food stuff, because no businessman ain't going to pay no extra money for electricity, and he stands the burden all by himself. It will be passed on to us, the consumers. So directly, indirectly, we are going to still be paying high prices for everything we buy that comes from a commercial business. And finally, I remember Ms. Sesson saying while she was in opposition that Faris Alwari was the landlord of the nation. So I guess while they were doing budget and they wanted to bring that tax to the landlords, tenants, to landlords and so on, I think Faris Alwari was probably in their mind, because in her postcard, she used Faris as the example. So I guess Faris inspired them to do that. For them to pay at $2,500, I think it's a one-off thing.
Yeah.
For that. But otherwise, I have to go through now. I will listen to other people. I'm not going to read because too much detail. I want to read the points. Like if you all have a guest today, I think it's David Abdullah.
Yeah, we do.
We
listen to David, and he'll probably give you a little better breakdown as to it. Yeah, thanks very much, Aberdeen. And,
I mentioned that there was a digital ID. Now, this was something that Colin Ember had mentioned, I don't know, 2 or 3 budgets ago. So, budget statements, as we know, is always about what you propose to do, and they don't always come to pass. You all know this, right? You're living here long enough. So, I remember Colin Ember about 2 or 3 budgets ago talking about that digital ID thing, which has resurfaced in Minister Tanku's budget, that whole digital ID and your access to government services through one portal, the blah, 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 dance of digital efficiency. So we'll see if it comes to pass, but it is something that has been mentioned before. So that came up again. The issue of schools repairs, floods, flood mitigation, they talked about all of that. They talked about roadworks, $1.1 billion, I think, dedicated to roads. Of course, the most important one to me was the Macoya intersection overpass, which is long overdue. Yeah, so that they need to get that done as quickly as possible. I mean, I'm sure that there are other parts of Trinidad that need overpasses, but I care about the east-west corridor in terms of those heading further east. And because that's where you could have lots of commuters who take that route. And those traffic lights, from the time you pass QREP overpass, you're into traffic lights again. And that substantially slows down traffic heading further east. So the Macoya overpass would help. I find they should build the Macoya and the Golden Grove overpass, because it's those two overpasses that will really mitigate traffic in terms of heading east. So they did talk about that, including the completion of the Churchill Roosevelt Highway to Manzanilla. They talked about the Valencia Toco Highway, with the commas, I guess, and some other road works. They talked about bridges. They talked about access to agriculture. There was certain things talked about for agriculture. So you had a lot of that.
Hold 1 minute there, Richard. Zena, good morning. Zena, are you there? I am. Right.
They're going to make inland revenue more. They're going to make inland revenue more efficient. I know. I saw in so much as they did away with the TTRA, which was a pet project of the. They did away with the TTRA, and they said they're going to make the Inland Revenue Department more efficient. They talked about understaffing across the government sector generally, and how they're going to fill a lot of those positions. That is a real thing. That there's so many departments that are understaffed, and so they said they're going to make an a certain percentile of contract positions. They're going to work towards making them permanent, rather than people being on contract. These are just some of the points. I'm just raising them as I remember them. I don't know if you have somebody on the line, Sujan.
Yeah, we do. Apparently, like the 299 number is giving a little trouble, but the 281 is working, right? So 281. Yeah.
Anyway, guys. Now I understand the super gas will help a few people, but people are forgetting the whole picture when it came to why the subsidies were being removed. I don't know if you remember, it was being removed together with bringing in more hybrid vehicles and electric vehicles and people switching to propane and CNG. All this was to get environmentally friendly and all that. Now, I do think by reducing it, the super by $1 will help. Yes, it will help them put a couple $100 in your pocket, but it creates a subsidy, which I'm sure I'm no expert. I didn't do A-level economics or anything like that, but I'm sure it's going to add $1 billion plus to the subsidy at the ending of the year. I'm sure it's going to add that. And who pays that? The taxpayer. Nothing is government funded. Everything is taxpayer funded. So, and also people are not going to be inclined to invest towards a hybrid vehicle. I put in propane in my 7-seater because it's economical for me to run that with the runs that I make. And they're forgetting it wasn't in one in a hand, and also they're diluting it by allowing older vehicles to come into the market, because the older vehicles not going to be the hybrids and the electric, you know. The older vehicles going to be gasoline vehicles, and that was not the reason why the subsidy was being taken away. It was taken away together with the environmental, and because the subsidies were too high on it. And I think we're forgetting that part.
All right. Okay, no problem. Thanks very much, caller. Just to let our listeners know that the 281 number is what you're calling, 281-1315. We seem to be having some problem on the 299 number. And let us put up our poll question for today. All right. So, are you satisfied with the budget presentation for 2025-2026? All right. So remember, you're voting yes or no, and any other comments after that. All right. So it makes it easier for us to run through. Caller, good morning to you.
Hi, sir. I'll call back because it's not about the poll. Bye-bye.
All right. Okay. No problem.
And they also talked about buses, and they're getting electric buses. Now, I know the PNN, before they were voted out, I talked about the acquisition of electric buses that were in process, that they were moving to electric buses fleet. So he developed on that, almost making it sound like they were doing it, but they weren't really doing it. The PNM was also doing that, but anyway, but he did say that they'll make it more efficient, and they will have an app. That they will have an app, and you could see when a bus come in and not, and well, that went out.
Yeah, we've been hearing so much about technology coming to these things.
But maybe it will work this time around. So you have to give the opportunity. Maybe it will work this time around, but we've heard it all before. That they will have an app, and you could see when a bus come in, and the bus will be on time, and you will see when it's on its way. And maybe we here before, and nothing came to pass. But
caller, very quickly,
this time around, it will finally work the way it's intended. Yeah. And of course, electric bus fleet is a welcome addition to the fleet of buses.
All right, caller, good morning.
So, Charles,
Yes.
good morning.
Good morning to you. Sorry about
I'm Richard and Wendy. Good morning. And all those
Good morning,
support.
Zina.
Listen to me. Richard made mention of that budget and with the food stuff part, with the tech part, and that things will go up, cost of things being made and stuff, and it will be passed on to the same lower class people, poorer people. And not only that, you see that rental story they talk about there. It's better they had left everybody to pay their land and building taxes, because by checking with landlords now, you know what will happen? And she's saying last night, the Prime Minister, if the landlord carry up the rent, somebody asks, just look for somewhere else. They are going to cause rents to go up. You understand? Because no landlord ain't coming to pay no taxes at the end of the year, and they have to pay the government. What about if you take a loan from the bank or the credit union to put on or fix your place a little bit so that you could rent out a part of it? So you have to pay the credit union or the bank and pay the government too. It is a very unfair budget. And my answer to the question is if you agree, hell no.
We are satisfied.
Are you satisfied? But I take your point about the landlords. And did the Prime Minister actually say that, that if landlord can't be rent, moves to somewhere else? That's easier said than done. She's obviously never rented, or she hasn't rented in a while. For people to move from one rental to another is a bacchanal, to find a new space. And then you also have to think about school, especially if you have children, and how much it's going to increase if you move to an area outside of you, how much is going to increase your traveling costs for your children to go to school. It's a lot of things that families factor in where they're going to rent. And so it's not that easy for people just to leave and uproot themselves wherever they are.
No, it's not. But people, we are going for the 7 o'clock news, and we will be back. Continue to vote on the poll in the meantime, right?
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
This is News Now on New Era TT Radio and Gayelle Caribbean. I'm Derek. Finance Minister Devendranath Thankoo has announced a $59.2 billion budget for the upcoming fiscal year, based on oil at $73.25 a barrel and gas at $4.35 per MMBTU. With projected revenue at $55.4 billion, the country faces a fiscal deficit of $3.9 billion, about 2% of GDP, which Thankoo noted is within global standards. Education and training will get the largest share at $8.76 billion, followed by health $8.21 billion, national security $6.36 billion, public utilities $3.39 billion, and infrastructure $1.94 billion. The figures reflect a balanced and responsible approach, adding, when the UNC wins, everybody wins. Tobago has been allocated $3.72 billion to manage its affairs in the upcoming fiscal year. Finance Minister Devendranath Thankoo made the announcement during his 2026 budget presentation in Parliament, noting that $2.96 billion will go directly to the Tobago House of Assembly, representing 5% of the national budget. An additional $763 million will be spent by various ministries on Tobago-related projects, bringing the total to 6.3% of the national budget. Thankoo said the allocation reflects the government's commitment to Tobago's development. Finance Minister Devendranath Thankoo has announced a $50 million water smart metering program set to begin in fiscal 2026. He said the initiative aims to increase revenue and reduce wastage, while also canceling the controversial WASA transformation plan, preserving 3,700 jobs and redirecting $30 million to essential services. Tanku said water supply has already improved in several areas. Siparia now gets water 3 times a week instead of once every 9 days, and Maracas Bay now receives water 5 days a week. Additionally, $300 million will be spent replacing old pipelines in Port of Spain, San Fernando, and Arima. The smart meter rollout, first proposed in 2019, will improve billing accuracy and reduce water losses. Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessar has instructed Finance Minister Davindranath Tanku to advise the Chief Personnel Officer to submit a revised 10% wage offer for public sector workers covering the periods 2014 to 2016 and 2017 to 2019. Tanku made the announcement during his 2025-2026 national budget presentation, noting that the directive aims to settle long outstanding negotiations for the civil service, statutory authorities, and the Tobago House of Assembly. He said government will also ratify collective agreements signed in 2025 for the teaching service, defense force, and the Port of Spain and San Fernando City corporations. The revised offer carries a recurrent cost of $234 million annually, with arrears estimated at $730 million up to December 2025. Tanku added that government will work with Republic Bank, First Citizens, and the National Insurance Board to facilitate payment arrangements. There's major relief for users of super gasoline, as Finance Minister Davindranath Tanku has announced a $1 reduction in the fuel price, effective immediately. Delivering the 2026 national budget in Parliament, Tanku said the move marks the first major measure of what he described as a caring government led by Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessar. The previous PNM government was unfairly overcharging citizens for super gasoline, he said, noting that the cut will directly benefit motorists, saving drivers about $50 each time they fill a 50-liter tank. Tanku contrasted the move with the glee of the former finance minister, who he said raised fuel prices while citizens struggled with a rising cost of living. He added that while the economy contracted by 2.1% earlier this year, growth is now returning in sectors like manufacturing, transport, real estate, and construction. The CPAP and URP programs are set to be transformed into more sustainable, full-time employment opportunities, according to Finance Minister Davindranath Tanku. Presenting the 2026 national budget, Tanku said the move forms part of the government's plan to end state funding of criminal gangs while creating better-paying, long-term jobs for citizens. This government is committed to eliminating CPAP and URP in their current form and replacing them with full-time, better-paid employment, he told Parliament. An employment fund of $475 million has been established within the Ministry of Finance to drive the transition, with an additional $310 million coming from the unemployment fund. Tanku said Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessar will outline further details on this major job creation initiative during her budget contribution. In crime news, the body of 44-year-old nurse Marian Bacchus was found in her Vista Bella apartment on Sunday night. Police said she was discovered with a wound to the neck, and a knife was nearby. An autopsy will determine whether the injury was self-inflicted. Her 69-year-old landlord contacted police around 8:10 p.m. after relatives said they could not reach her. When he arrived at the apartment around 7:30 p.m., he got no response, used his key, and found her motionless in a bedroom. Investigators said Bacchus lived alone and was last seen alive on October 8th, when she visited a doctor for sick leave and was dropped off at home by her brother. Calls and visits in the days after went unanswered. Bacchus worked at the San Fernando General Hospital, and police continue to investigate. Finally, in international news, celebrations erupted across Israel and the Palestinian territories on Monday, as a major hostage and prisoner exchange marked a key step toward ending 2 years of war in Gaza. In a U.S.-brokered first phase, Hamas returned all living Israeli hostages, while Israel freed nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees. Families reunited with loved ones in emotional scenes, with cheers, tears, and patriotic music filling the streets, U.S. President Donald Trump arrived in Israel shortly after the reunions, calling it a historic dawn in a new Middle East during a speech to the Knesset. He then traveled to Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, for a summit with more than 20 leaders. At the summit, Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, and the U.S. signed a declaration guaranteeing the ceasefire, aiming to end the conflict that left Gaza in ruins. While the exchange brought hope, experts warn that later phases of the peace plan face major challenges, and intense negotiations will be needed to secure a lasting peace. And that's news at this time.
That was news now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Your mid-morning just got better. Join Sir Charles for the mid-morning mix and mingle, where good music, real talk, health, and family matters come together, and your voice is heard. Whether you're at work, on the go, or just taking a break, this is the perfect mix to keep you engaged, informed, and entertained. The mid-morning mix and mingle, weekdays, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Join me, Brother David Muhammad, every Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. here on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio, Powerful Radio. Join me to hear knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Tuesdays, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. here on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Morning vibes, fresh energy. This is the Net Radio Breakfast Show.
I duck in it. 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 I have a question. Who does go to work on a Thursday or even a Friday when it have parties? I still put on my work clothes, but I just stay to wine and the shorty. She tell me she up there. Tell my supervisor I sick, have diarrhea and I need to shoot. I need to go to the pharmacy, but I end up in fire the walk. I will jump up and whining down, pumping just like a hooligan when I turn around and see my boss in the place. If you see me again, I don't want my boss to see, so I take it. Don't want him to fire me, so I take it. Post me in the pharmacy, so I take it. Now, if you see me wine, and I take it, choke, and I take it. If you see me wine, and I take it, choke, and I take it. You see, my girlfriend don't trust me. She friends just accuse me, say I just horn shit. But I am not able, relationship stable. I hope we don't crumble. My ex-girlfriend called me to vet. If you see me jam and getting on wet, why not be white till we full of sweat? I have no regrets, sir. Someone tell me turn around. When my woman come on from my car, make she see me here with my ex-woman. If you see me again, I don't want my girl to see, so I take it. Don't want she break up with me, so I take it. If she come that is back and dance, so I take it. Jam me down in the carnival, look at wine, and I take it. Choke, and I take it. If you see me wine, and I take it. Choke, and I take it.
Morning vibes, fresh energy. This is the Net Radio Breakfast Show.
I duck in it.
It is Net Radio, New Era TT Radio, Heartbeat of the Caribbean. We take you above and beyond. Welcome inside the second hour, the 7 o'clock hour here on New Era TT, and of course Gayelle Caribbean. We say good morning to the people of Gayelle and the people of the Caribbean listening to us on viewing us on Gayelle. Remember, we are streaming all day, every day on NewEraTTRadio.com. New Era TT Radio. Put it in your browser. You get us on TuneIn, so you can get us on your Alexa and, of course, your Google devices. Coming up inside of the Drive Time Exchange this afternoon with Tony Fraser, and that will be your next engagement on the
YouTube and Facebook feed. A major analysis of the 2026 budget is on the Drive Time Exchange today with journalist Tony Fraser, having economist Professor Patrick Watson, Dr. Vanessa James, and also chartered accountant David Walker as his guest, right? And of course, they will highlight all of the major fiscal measures, and most importantly, they would examine the budget for its capacity to transform our economy. So you can join them just after the 4 o'clock news today, right here on New Era TT Radio. Right? So continue to vote on the poll. Remember, you're voting yes or no first. Put in all of your comments after. Are you satisfied with the budget for 2025-2026, right? And of course, when we come back also, we talk with David Abdullah inside of the next hour. All right, so let's, we will be back shortly. Stick around. Don't go anywhere.
Pay $1 down on higher purchase plans at Furniture Plus. Enjoy fast approval, low interest rates, and up to 36 months financing. Retirees, self-employed, and permanent employees apply today. Buy now, pay later with Furniture Plus credit plans. Conditions apply.
Charmflair Auto Services Limited, your one-stop auto repair shop, located at number 1 Industrial Lane, Charmflair, right opposite the brewery on the Eastern Main Road. Yes, we do it all. Repairs to all makes and models, from your everyday sedan to SUVs, light trucks, pickups, and panel vans. We're also the sole distributors of Devantry tires, certified VTS inspection station, plus a wide range of services: oil change, front end and suspension repairs, tune-ups, tire alignment, batteries, electrical work, radiator and cooling system, AC repairs, and accessories galore. We offer pickup and drop-off service too. Call us today at 662-6545 or 662-6572. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Charmflair Auto Services Limited, number 1 Industrial Lane, Charmflair. We do it all.
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newerattradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for?
The public is demanding it, so the laughter continues. Your only foul to watch Corn is now at Central Bank Auditorium for 2 nights only. Saturday, October 25th at 8:30 p.m. and Sunday, October 26th at 6:30 p.m. Don't miss the play that some say is the funniest of all time. Tickets available now online and at the usual outlets. And from Monday, October 20th, 12 noon to 6 p.m. daily at the Central Bank box office. Your don't leave foul to watch Corn has been matching up audiences.
All right, so our poll is up. Are you satisfied with the budget 2025 to 2026? That's our poll for this morning. So I will probably have to read the poll results. I don't, Vandal, you in any position to read it or not really? I'll take that.
I'm not hearing him.
Yeah, can you hear me? Turn on?
Yeah, we were.
Okay, no, I said, if you're in a position to read the results, or I have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I am in a position to read the results. Well, Mariano Brown was just trying to call me. He must be trying to call to confirm confirm tomorrow, but I'll call him back. So let me see. Where did the results start from? Michael Oliver said yes. You ready to start, right?
I'm writing.
Right, Michael Oliver, yes. Kazim Mohammed, no. Diane Payne, no. Gregory Boyer, yes. Debbie Mitchell, yes. Jason Samuel, yes. Sankofa did not vote. Anon did not vote. Derek Billion did not vote. Marlon Motley, no. Reynald Jeffrey, no. Eunice Dublin, no. Debbie Mitchell didn't vote. Cheryl Henry, no. Derek Billion didn't vote. Alistair Hart, no. Brent Hackshaw. People don't listen to Sir Charles, boy. Jeez.
They like to do their own thing.
Only chat. Super Valdez, no. Susan Jessup, no. Richard Phillip, no. Kenwin Henry, yes. Oh boy. Ava Smith, no. Cheryl Henry can't wait to collect back pay. James Kamau, Anon, Ava Smith, Margaret Thomas, no. Jason Samuel didn't vote. Melchizedek, no. Diane Payne, Anon, you're always on facts. Okay. James Kamau, no. Stellar Services, no. Joseph Clement, no. Ian Robley, no. The UNC government playing games with people, you know that. They play enough games to win. Cheppy 65, no. Dean Allen didn't vote. Bernadette Yates, no. Sankofa, no. Anon, no. Jason Samuel Wendell going to fill up his tank. Yeah, he's all right. Brennan Smith says yes. Derek Billion, no. Carol Guevara, no. And Derek wants his income tax, no. That's it.
I like that. All right, so Captain Ron, no. Trinidad and Tobago, no. Sachin says yes. Charmaine says no. Joanne in Mount Hope says no. Pauline says yes. Sean Ram says yes. Miss Sampson now typing. And Sexy Reds says no. And that's what I have so far.
I have two more no's from Brent Hackshaw and from Cadian Townsend.
All right. And I have two more no's. One from Miss Sampson saying no. And she say hell no. And Raymond is also saying no. All right. So those are the votes. Are you satisfied, people?
Yeah, so our poll this morning was, or is, are you satisfied with the budget 2025 to 2026? We have 41 people voting on the poll in their allotted time. Of the 41 people voting, 32 of you said no, you're not satisfied with the budget. 9 of you said yes, you are. So 9 people said yes, 32 people said no. So the nays have it for this morning. The people saying no, they are not satisfied with the budget are in the majority. So if the UNC wanted some feedback in terms of our spot poll, there it is. So that's it for our poll this morning. It is now done.
Yeah. I'm going to try back Mariano Brown after this show because I suspect he's calling to agree to do the show tomorrow. I suspect that's what he's calling for. I will wait and see. He never says no, eh?
Oh, you always
What was the final tally, Richard?
What? You're not time.
On the poll. What was the final tally?
Done. It is done. If you want to know, rewind.
I don't go through the whole process. I'm going to listen.
Richard, let rain fall and extend it for an hour now. Oh, God, help out the man now. EBC do that?
When I say I am done with the poll, I am done with the poll. You have no discipline. That is the problem. So you eating your cornflakes, you're not paying attention to the results, And all of a sudden, after you finish, wipe the milk from your mouth, you want to find out what the result of the poll is?
I eat cornflakes dry, right? So
anyway, it's 32-9. Hey, that's all I can pick two.
Well, everybody had a pick 2 number behind the name today.
But it's 32-9 said yes. 32 said yes, 9 said no.
No problem.
But
What's 9?
41.
What's 9 in play?
Cattle.
I don't know. No, I was going to say jam it. It would have been nice to say jam it, but it's not jam it.
No.
Well, coming
cattle.
after 32, I guess jam it would have followed.
But I don't know. I don't know those numbers. I don't know play with numbers like that. I don't play with that people off the bat can tell you that easily.
That's just selling is cattle. 9 is cattle.
9 is cattle.
I'm not. 9 is cattle.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. I'm not seeing wait, David Abdullah is here, so let's bring
Yeah, he just got in.
I didn't realize I was trying to pick up time while we waited on him. But he's here, so let's get into our Let's Talk segment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good morning, David Abdullah.
Good morning.
And thanks for joining us on the Breakfast Show this morning. We appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.
Thanks a million for having me. Good to be on with you guys again.
Yeah. So, of course, but I suppose we can start with our poll. Our poll this morning was, are you satisfied with the budget for 2025-2026? And the majority of our listeners who chose to vote, let me qualify by saying that, because we had 41 people voting on the poll. 32 of them said no, they were not satisfied. 9 people said yes. What's your take? Are you satisfied?
Well, I suppose first of all, you could never satisfy everybody with a national budget, right? Because there's so many different interests. There were some good things. There were some things that I think was a lot of political rhetoric and so on. But it's the first budget of the new government, so they had to appear that they were dealing with all of their campaign promises. So there was a lot of politicking going on in that first budget. There are some details that obviously we did not get. So there were some statements of intent that we will have to now see the detail of that. For example, job creation and so on. Those things are yet to be identified. The Minister of Finance or the Prime Minister is going to deal with that. The area, for example, of CPEP and URP and forestry, those workers who lost their jobs, what's going to be the future of them? How is that going to be restructured? There was nothing about that. So there's some things that we're going to have to wait on the continuing debate and to hear various ministers try to detail some of their policy in terms of actions. So there were some things that for example, the People's Roundtable in our budget submission, which we only sent in late last week, were picked up. Whether they picked it up from us or whether that was of their own accord, I'm not going to say that it was the People's Roundtable's proposals, but the area, for example, of the buy local campaign, that was important. That's important. How that is going to be rolled out, because the devil is often in the detail. We have to wait and see how that's going to be rolled out. They've said they're going to focus on areas of the creative sector. Again, we've heard that in multiple budgets over the years. So exactly what is going to be done, I think, is key. I know, Richard, that's an area you're going to be particularly interested and concerned with.
I actually wanted to interrupt you there, David, because I wasn't sure. I didn't listen to the entire budget yesterday, and I said from the time I listened, I didn't hear anything about the creative sector except some sort of exchange with India, that it was going to be some facilitation of an exchange of cultural artists with India. That's all I heard. But if you did hear something more, if you could share it with us, because I told people I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I mean, I got late last night, I did get the entire budget. I was online, and there was mention of but there was nothing specific in terms of the fiscal measures, which is really where you action your general intent and your policy statement. So there was nothing in the 20-odd fiscal measures that addressed the issue of the creative sector explicitly, but there was mention somewhere in the general budget statement reference to areas of fashion and film and food and so on. So there was reference to it. So I suppose we'll have to hear from the Minister of Culture and also the Minister of Tourism about that. I mean, for example, on the tourism, they did say, I'm quoting now, a year-round carnival city will integrate culture, and then the Turtle Tourism Capital will integrate culture, conservation, and community benefit. So there was that reference to a year-round carnival city. How that is going to be implemented, we'll have to see. And there was also another reference, yes, the Orange Economy Creative Industries. We'll expand our cultural industries through a creative value chain fund, supporting film, fashion, design, and music, and so on. Enhanced IP protection and duty concessions will empower creatives and generate thousands of jobs. So that was a general statement of intent, but I did not see in the 20 fiscal measures what that creative value chain fund is and how much money is in that fund, because if it's $5 million, that can't even support film, far less other things. So I also haven't had a chance to look at the detailed estimates of expenditure by ministries, because that is where you pick up, those are these big fat yellow books. I'll just bend down and take out one to show what they look like for those who are not familiar with them. These big fat books, draft estimates of development programs, for example. You have to go through these things in great detail. Draft estimates of recurrent expenditure. You have to go through these things in great detail to try to find exactly how much money has been allocated under which head of expenditure. So there was reference, but as I said, the devil is in the detail, and we don't know whether there is any significant investment. We did not hear of specific projects that would increase the productive capacity of the economy in a significant way. So I was listening to see whether there was going to be a definitive statement about the Petrotrin refinery, the Point-à-Pierre refinery, but that didn't come up explicitly as far as I'm aware. Neither did the issue of the scrap metals industry, which is right now shut down. So that didn't come up explicitly. So there were some major areas like that we didn't hear about. Some issues of reform, for example, the transfer pricing mechanism by which multinationals have been ripping this country off of billions of dollars every year in the natural gas and petrochemical sector. That has been spoken about by past governments. I think in Minister Imber's first budget in 2016, he spoke about that and did nothing about it in 10 years. So this minister in his first budget presentation has said they're going to deal with it within this fiscal year. So at the end of 2026 fiscal year, which is September, October next year, we're going to wait to see whether we are going to get more revenue that is due and owing to us, but which the country is being ripped off of by way of transfer pricing. What the multinationals do is that they will sell gas, for example, at $4 to a subsidiary of the same multinational, and then that subsidiary will sell it on the market at $8. I'm just using that as an example. So that extra $4, we don't get the tax revenue on the $8. We get it on the basis of $4, and they make gravy off of that extra $4. That's transfer pricing, because they transferred the product from one subsidiary to another, and they do it in a way that does not benefit us by way of full taxes, and we lose billions of dollars every year in that regard. So we want to see that being implemented. The strengthening of BIR and customs, this is something that needs to be done and could have been done years ago, but the last government decided that they were going to go the way of the Revenue Authority and therefore neglected reform of the BIR and Customs, putting all their money on the Revenue Authority. It took them 9 years to get Revenue Authority approved and up and running. So we lost 9 years of strengthening our tax collection mechanisms. It was something that I had begun to work on with other colleagues on the Economic Development Advisory Board in 2016, but we didn't complete that work to provide the Minister of Finance with that advice. I don't think you'd have taken it in any case, but there are ways of strengthening tax collection because we lose a lot of revenue that way. If that is done, then yes, they could help to close the gap between revenue and expenditure, what is known as the fiscal deficit. So there are some things there that were positive. Obviously, everybody's going to be happy, those who have cars that use super gas, by the $1 per liter reduction. Those who drive cars that use premium are not so happy because there's that overcharging, if you wish, on premium gas will continue. So some people will be happy. The pensioners like myself from next year wouldn't pay taxes on our pension income, so I suppose that is also helpful.
If I could interrupt you on that point, is it that because I heard him mention private pensions, did he also talk about public servant pensions, the public sector pensions?
Well, that would be a private pension plan. In other words, pension plans are derived from your employment. Yes, as distinct from NIS or old age pensions or senior citizens pensions. So yes, I'm sure teachers, public servants who retire and who are paying taxes on their pension based upon their, the taxable limit, the limit on incomes, the maximum amount on which no taxes will be paid. Once you fall below that, that's not a problem. But if it goes above that, then there may be some public servants who are earning or getting a pension that puts them above that. What is it? $80,000 maximum. I can't remember the exact amount.
84. I think it's 84. I think it's 7,000.
Yeah, 7,000 a month. Correct. Yes. So those areas I think are positive. Interesting attempt to deal with property tax, which they repealed and then introduced. And we argued for years, but Minister Bear wasn't listening, that instead of introducing property tax on households, they should first introduce it on industrial and commercial properties. In other words, properties that are earning revenue, incomes. Let people who are earning incomes on their properties pay property tax. But he wanted to penalize householders instead of big businesses and so on. So he's now talking about commercial properties, but interestingly, only commercial properties that are earning actual rent, not commercial and industrial properties that are generating incomes because they are doing business. In other words, a supermarket chain that owns its own properties and earning income from the sale of food and beverages and so on, they will not be paying this surcharge. But if somebody is renting a property to the supermarket, then the landlord will pay the surcharge. So it's in my view not a complete addressing of the fact that they're property owners that are making money from their assets. They will not be paying a tax, and so I think it is an incomplete way of dealing with that matter.
But he also introduced, or is planning to introduce, increasing electricity rates for commercial and industrial users of electricity. What is your take on the obvious price increases, and that is going to be in the economy because of that? Because businesses absorb, but they don't really absorb and not pass on. They always pass on some of the additional overhead costs to consumers. So are we looking at the possibility, are we looking at realistically, let me say the word, not possibility, realistically, a rise in prices of foodstuff, because supermarkets will fall into that category, that they're going to have, and they use a lot of electricity because their electricity runs 24/7 because they have, a lot of cold storage and stuff like that. Is that now going to send up the price of food across the board? Well, across the,
difficult to say, Richard, because I have not been able to look at, is a 5 cents per kilowatt charge, or this surcharge for commercial and industrial users. And what I would have to do is go back to the Regulated Industries Commission's determination, which they had submitted in 2023, I think it was, and the last government never implemented it, to look at the categories of commercial, because there's several commercial categories. I think there's about 2 or 3 different commercial categories, depending on the quantum of kilowatts that are used, and then see what that 5 cents per kilowatt would equate to, compared to what the RIC had recommended in their determination for an increase in the rate. So that's the first thing. So is this 5 cents a kilowatt more onerous than what the RIC had recommended, or is it less onerous? So that's the first question. The second thing that one would have to address is whether the amount of electricity used by, say, supermarkets and other businesses as a percentage of their expenditure, what is that? In other words, if electricity is only 5% of their expenditure, just using a figure, and their electricity costs go up by 10%, then really and truly it is 10% or 5%, which is a very small increase in their costs, and therefore they don't necessarily or not necessarily have to pass that on to consumers by way of higher prices for consumers. So those are the things. The problem is, though, that you're right, that many businesses will simply say the price of electricity went up by 10%, so we are increasing our prices by 10%, when really and truly that is not the real effective increase in the cost of their doing business.
Yeah.
So those are the things where the problem then becomes a weak consumer protection system in Trinidad and Tobago, and weak consumer consciousness amongst our population.
They also in the increase, well, I should say the increase, they added charges on the assets of banks and insurance companies, which of course they will also want to pass on depending on how expensive it is for them. I'm not so sure what that amounts to in terms of our bank or insurance companies' operating costs, but it's an additional cost to them because it's a tax.
Yes.
And banks, as I was saying earlier, banks are not shy in passing on costs to consumers in terms of additional fees that just suddenly go up by $1 or $2 in terms of whatever additional costs they're facing. What's your take on that one?
Yeah, again, no. There are different ways of, and the thing about it is that the banks and so on are making huge profits, right? That keep increasing every year. And they're making profits on the spread, the gap between the interest that you are getting on whatever accounts you have and the interest that they are charging on loans, and in particular the spreads that they get on Forex sales and purchases. So, and the fees, the add-on fees that they're charged every time you go in to do an over-the-counter transaction, you have to pay a certain amount, and so on. And then, of course, they deduct from your accounts money every month, for the privilege of having your money in their bank, right? Which is, all of that is really very onerous. Now, one would have to see what are the assets that this surcharge is going to be levied on. Is it going to be all of the assets, which means all of the holdings of deposits in the bank, which would be a huge amount? Would it have been better simply and more transparent to say that we're going to tax you on your profits, which really is attacking the wealth issue in a more direct way? Now, a lot of the banks don't own the branch buildings where they operate out of. They rent those properties. So those assets will not be charged. So we have to get clarity on what are the assets that are being specifically targeted. And I suppose we will hear more about that from the banks themselves, what is their understanding, and so on. And there may be debates. One of the issues then would be, will some of the banks then locate some of their assets, financial holdings outside of Trinidad and Tobago? Already, many of them have operations in Ghana, in all the way up the islands, and so on, in CARICOM and some extra CARICOM regional places and that kind of thing. So if they decide to relocate some of their financial holdings outside of Trinidad and Tobago, then those assets will not attract the surcharge. So all of that we have to look at. I suppose the Minister of Finance would have done a careful examination of that. I don't know if the central bank, what the central bank and the Bankers Association will, their comments will be, and I wait to see their comments. So this is, an initial commentary by me without having the opportunity of getting deeper into the detail. The devil is always in the detail. I would have much preferred to have increased the taxes on the profits of the banks. So we know what the profits are. Those are declared every quarter. And we could see, therefore, that they're going to be paying more taxes. And therefore, we will get back results from that. I would also have liked to see the central bank speaking to the banks and saying, address the interest of, or the issue rather, of your interest rate spreads, address the issue of these onerous fees that are put on customers for using your services and that kind of thing. That would have, in my view, made it less difficult for people to utilize banking services, particularly vulnerable people who tend to go into the bank and do over-the-counter rather than online transactions and so on, online banking. So that, I think, would have been a better way of helping ordinary people, and by increasing taxation, getting more revenue for the Minister of Finance and dealing with bank profits.
Well, I had one of one of our listeners message concerning they weren't sure what you meant by the government pensions, because the private pensions are not good. They said they were not going to tax private pensions. They wanted to know whether that meant they were not going to tax public sector pensions that were above that 7,000 threshold.
That would be my expectation. I can't see them saying no taxes for people who got pensions from, say, working in a bank or former Petrotrin or a TNTech or a TSTT or whatever other company has a private pension plan for their employees, and then taxing teachers or public servants whose pension is above $7,000 a month. That to me would be unfair treatment of public servants.
Yeah, I'm thinking that, even though you didn't specifically say it. Now, I know the platform, they did say that private and public sector pensions, but in the budget, you just mentioned private pensions, so I felt it was a little strange. What does he mean? It seemed like an anomaly in not addressing it directly. He talked about the payment systems, the UPI system out of India, and how that was going to, I guess, transform how we do digital payments. Of course, this would have started under the previous administration. There's a continuation of that. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, because the whole issue of digital payments, I know, has cropped up. I know the PNM, the last administration, was very much moving towards a cashless society. They indicated that verbally, that they wanted to move towards a cashless society. The UNC has been a little bit ambiguous about it, so we're not really sure. But of course, digital payments make things more efficient and easier.
Yeah, I mean, cashless society, I think, was a bad term by the last government. Your language is important. You know, words are important, and language is very important in terms of what people believe. It means that, I have no money, I have no cash. Nah. You know, you know how the memes would run, right? But if a digital payments mean that you could use your phone and make payments, and that is already happening. We pay. I think that there's some things there where you go and you could scan. I don't do that because I'm old-fashioned and so on. But you go to business places and you scan on your phone, and the payment is made, right? There are a number of online platforms already where no dollars in terms of physical cash and coins and so on and bills are being utilized to pay for goods. So that is quote unquote moving towards a cashless society. And in Africa, a lot of people use their phones to make payments with small vendors, market vendors, and so on, and that kind of thing. So, and that's being done in India. So that, I think, is what is being proposed. It does mean, therefore, that two things get implications of that. One, positive in that you don't walk around with cash and therefore don't make yourself susceptible to somebody holding up and taking $2,000 off of you, or however much Sir Charles might have on him at any one point in time.
Remember, you are the one that said that you're not using the cards.
Yeah, but I never have cash. I never have money on me in any case. So, but
please take note. Please take note. He never walks with cash. David,
but
I want to ask you.
Sorry, the negative part about it is the cyber security thing, and therefore people getting hacked, and their accounts getting hacked, and so you have people getting into your accounts and taking out your money.
Yes.
And you only find that out when you go to pay and you say, what the hell, what happened to the money I thought I had? So the cybersecurity part about it, data protection and privacy and so on, and the systems that are used by vendors and others has to be, that security has to be really great in order to prevent online theft.
Yeah. David, yesterday also, and I was paying kind of close attention to this, right? There was an announcement of a $50 million water smart metering program, and that they say that is to be coming to focus next year. And they put it as part of the broader plan to improve WASA's performance and also to cut the wastage. And they say that it also canceled, the previous WASA transformation plan, and by doing that, it would prevent 3,700 persons from losing their jobs, and they redirected a whole lot of millions, in critical services. What does all of that mean for, seeing that you are the belly of labor? What does all this mean for workers and especially for consumers? And by largely, the country's long-term management of our water resources. So what does all that? How do you feel about all those things?
Yeah, so they said, right, a 50 million smart metering project will improve billing accuracy and reduce losses. Yes, we don't know how far that 50 million will stretch in terms of how many places will get metered. There are some places, some businesses that are metered. And it has long been argued, long been argued, that water should be paid for by how much you consume, rather than WASA having an arbitrary estimation thing and they bill you arbitrarily and so on. So who is going to be metered first, second, and third is going to be important, and we want to hear. But to start is important, but that obviously is going to have to be rolled out over several years. And eventually, if everybody is metered, like TNTech, like your phone and so on, you pay for what you use. And therefore, you will conserve water to reduce your water bill. And the revenue stream should be more accurate and fairer, because if you're using, 100 gallons, because we still use gallons even though we're in a metric system, but instead of cubic meters or whatever, but however much you use, you pay for, and then that might then tie in with the current rate review, which has been done by the Regulated Industries Commission, which a new commission has to be appointed in relation to water rates, because water rates have not been addressed as yet by the RIC in a significant way, or the last RIC. So will the RIC then look at metering, what the metering rates will be? So that's going to be interesting to see what the end end is in terms of prices for consumers. Hopefully, again, industrial and commercial users will have a higher rate and will pay more if they're going to be the first ones metered. And then homeowners who have swimming pools and all of that, they should be metered. You know, so we start at the high end before you get down to the small man and woman.
Yeah, well, they identified that they went to Port of Spain, San Fernando, Arima. You know,
no, that was for pipelines. I'm looking at the
pipelines
now. Yeah, so $300 million will replace pipelines in Port of Spain, San Fernando, and Arima. So that was for pipelines. They didn't talk about where the 50 million smart metering project will go. We will have to hear that from the Minister of Public Utilities, no doubt.
Okay. There was also a mention also of what they call it, boy. They have this 7-year US $12 billion investment plan to create something like 3,000 jobs, and they say that is supposed to reposition Trinidad and Tobago as a regional maritime hub. How does all that fit into the scheme? Do you think that this is something that is really achievable? And 3,000 jobs, is it a realistic figure to try to create in this particular environment that we have right now?
Yeah, I mean, the yachting sector, the maritime sector, is an area which has great potential. We lost a lot of people coming into Trinidad and Tobago with their yachts to other islands some time ago, and the yachting services sector has advocated for, strengthening, because a lot of people used to get employed in repairs and maintenance of boats. Skilled craft persons and so on will get employed in those areas. So there is possibility for growth. Obviously, the last government had spoken about a marina in Tobago as well. I suppose that might be on the cards. If that also happens, then there's growth there. Yes, I want to, I don't know how much time we have, such as.
We have a couple minutes.
Right. So I wanted to address the issue of some of the other fiscal areas, right, in terms of revenue. Now, the minister said his price assumption for 2026 will be $73.25 US a barrel of oil. Of course, our oil production is not that high, compared with $77.80 a barrel in 2025. And for this budget, $4.25 per MMBTU for natural gas, compared with $3.59 last year. I think the estimates are still way too high. Last year, the Minister of Finance was way off, and he had to come back and say, that the estimates were high. And given what is happening, and if you look at the markets, I mean, I didn't check the price yesterday or today, but it's just over $60 a barrel for oil. And it is, well, our natural gas is not just Henry Hub or US dollar natural gas, because we sell natural gas to Europe and Asia and so on. And so you have to look at the basket of prices and the quantum to get the average price. But I do think certainly that that those prices, estimates for budget revenue, are high and not realizable. One thing that ministers do with setting a higher than realistic price is that no money will therefore get into the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, because the HSF only gets monies put into it when your revenues are above your budgeted price for hydrocarbons. So it's clearly no money will go into the HSF. And so I think the total revenue, oil revenue of 11.25 billion is extra high. I want to look at the draft estimates of revenue for the financial year 2026, because that does provide us with a good idea of how much revenue was gained last year on oil. So last year on oil, actual estimated for last year was 7.8 billion, and the revised estimate was 6.4 billion, right? Now, they have here estimate 5.4 billion, but the minister referred to 11 point something billion in his actual budget speech. He said 11.254. So I think that is high, although some of what he projects from oil revenue comes
It's not
from
oil
maybe
and
some of
natural
the
gas.
petrochemical.
It's not oil and natural gas. He was for the 11 billion.
Yes, but your oil companies here includes your gas companies and so on. Some of it, though, may come from your LNG and some of your petrochemicals, and that's because they change the statistics to include some of the downstream petrochemicals in manufacturing rather than keeping it within the energy sector. And that has made it a little bit more complicated. But I do think that the estimated price is too high.
Might be a little overstated. Does that have anything to do with also in with the margin within the deficit also?
Yeah, in other words, if your estimated revenue is too high, then your estimated deficit will be too low because you're not going to collect all that you estimated you would. And therefore, unless you cut your expenditure, then you're going to run into problems. Now, one of the things he didn't identify was the quantum of revenue that he would get from some of his measures. In other words, some of his measures, he did identify that he would get, $500 million from some of the surcharges, but some of them he did not identify how much money would come in. So that we will have to get some more detail going forward. Yeah.
A lot. Well, David, thanks very much for sharing your time and your expertise with us. And we look forward to see, when they start to strip it down in the parliament, I guess we'll get a little more details because I don't think any of us going to go through that big yellow book you have there.
No, very few people do. And let me just say, the weather has been very quiet. I don't know if that is because he worried about the rum and beer and cigarettes.
You may have
I could have that.
You may have hit it on the head.
Well, thank you so much.
I could help that pick out. I because when it was quiet, I didn't ask any questions.
Yeah, well, David, thanks much.
All right, okay.
Yeah, thank you, David. We appreciate you speaking with us this morning.
Okay.
It was me, David Pongina.
Yes, he said that you were very quiet because the price of alcohol gone up. You're depressed.
Well, I sell alcohol, I don't know about all you, but outside of taking your kids and I'll drink, I sell alcohol. So all the cheap alcohol I buy will be double the price now. I hope all you know that. Okay.
All right, people.
I'm set to make a little profit. Finally.
The 8 o'clock news is next. They didn't tax laughter, so okay.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
This is News Now on New Era TT Radio and Gayelle Caribbean. I'm Derek. Finance Minister Devendranath Thankoo has announced a $59.2 billion budget for the upcoming fiscal year, based on oil at $73.25 a barrel and gas at $4.35 per MMBTU. With projected revenue at $55.4 billion, the country faces a fiscal deficit of $3.9 billion, about 2% of GDP, which Thankoo noted is within global standards. Education and training will get the largest share at $8.76 billion, followed by health $8.21 billion, national security $6.36 billion, public utilities $3.39 billion, and infrastructure $1.94 billion. The figures reflect a balanced and responsible approach, adding, when the UNC wins, everybody wins. Tobago has been allocated $3.72 billion to manage its affairs in the upcoming fiscal year. Finance Minister Devendranath Thankoo made the announcement during his 2026 budget presentation in Parliament, noting that $2.96 billion will go directly to the Tobago House of Assembly, representing 5% of the national budget. An additional $763 million will be spent by various ministries on Tobago-related projects, bringing the total to 6.3% of the national budget. Tanku said the allocation reflects the government's commitment to Tobago's development. Finance Minister Devendranath Tanku has announced a $50 million water smart metering program set to begin in fiscal 2026. He said the initiative aims to increase revenue and reduce wastage, while also canceling the controversial WASA transformation plan, preserving 3,700 jobs, and redirecting $30 million to essential services. Tanku said water supply has already improved in several areas. Siparia now gets water 3 times a week instead of once every 9 days, and Maracas Bay now receives water 5 days a week. Additionally, $300 million will be spent replacing old pipelines in Port of Spain, San Fernando, and Arima. The smart meter rollout, first proposed in 2019, will improve billing accuracy and reduce water losses. Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessar has instructed Finance Minister Devendranath Tanku to advise the Chief Personnel Officer to submit a revised 10% wage offer for public sector workers, covering the periods 2014 to 2016 and 2017 to 2019. Tanku made the announcement during his 2025-2026 national budget presentation, noting that the directive aims to settle long outstanding negotiations for the civil service, statutory authorities, and the Tobago House of Assembly. He said government will also ratify collective agreements signed in 2025 for the teaching service, defense force, and the Port of Spain and San Fernando city corporations. The revised offer carries a recurrent cost of $234 million annually, with arrears estimated at $730 million up to December 2025. Tanku added that government will work with Republic Bank, First Citizens, and the National Insurance Board to facilitate payment arrangements. There's major relief for users of super gasoline, as Finance Minister Devendranath Tanku has announced a $1 reduction in the fuel price, effective immediately. Delivering the 2026 national budget in Parliament, Tanku said the move marks the first major measure of what he described as a caring government led by Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessar. The previous PNM government was unfairly overcharging citizens for super gasoline, he said, noting that the cut will directly benefit motorists, saving drivers about $50 each time they fill a 50-liter tank. Tanku contrasted the move with the glee of the former finance minister, who he said raised fuel prices while citizens struggled with a rising cost of living. He added that while the economy contracted by 2.1% earlier this year, growth is now returning in sectors like manufacturing, transport, real estate, and construction. The CPAP and URP programs are set to be transformed into more sustainable, full-time employment opportunities, according to Finance Minister Devendranath Tanku. Presenting the 2026 national budget, Tanku said the move forms part of the government's plan to end state funding of criminal gangs while creating better-paying, long-term jobs for citizens. This government is committed to eliminating CPAP and URP in their current form and replacing them with full-time, better-paid employment, he told Parliament. An employment fund of $475 million has been established within the Ministry of Finance to drive the transition, with an additional $310 million coming from the unemployment fund. Tanku said Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessar will outline further details on this major job creation initiative during her budget contribution. In crime news, the body of 44-year-old nurse Marian Bacchus was found in her Vistabella apartment on Sunday night. Police said she was discovered with a wound to the neck and a knife was nearby. An autopsy will determine whether the injury was self-inflicted. Her 69-year-old landlord contacted police around 8:10 p.m. after relatives said they could not reach her. When he arrived at the apartment around 7:30 p.m., he got no response, used his key, and found her motionless in a bedroom. Investigators said Bacchus lived alone and was last seen alive on October 8th, when she visited a doctor for sick leave and was dropped off at home by her brother. Calls and visits in the days after went unanswered. Bacchus worked at the San Fernando General Hospital, and police continue to investigate. Finally, in international news, celebrations erupted across Israel and the Palestinian territories on Monday, as a major hostage and prisoner exchange marked a key step toward ending 2 years of war in Gaza. In a U.S.-brokered first phase, Hamas returned all living Israeli hostages, while Israel freed nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees. Families reunited with loved ones in emotional scenes, with cheers, tears, and patriotic music filling the streets. U.S. President Donald Trump arrived in Israel shortly after the reunions, calling it a historic dawn in a new Middle East during a speech to the Knesset. He then traveled to Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, for a summit with more than 20 leaders. At the summit, Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, and the U.S. signed a declaration guaranteeing the ceasefire, aiming to end the conflict that left Gaza in ruins. While the exchange brought hope, experts warn that later phases of the peace plan face major challenges, and intense negotiations will be needed to secure a lasting peace. And that's news at this time.
That was news now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Charm Flair Auto Services Limited, your one-stop auto repair shop, located at number 1 Industrial Lane, Charm Flair, right opposite the brewery on the Eastern Main Road. Yes, we do it all. Repairs to all makes and models, from your everyday sedan to SUVs, light trucks, pickups, and panel vans. We're also the sole distributors of Davanti tires, certified VTS inspection station, plus a wide range of services: oil change, front end and suspension repairs, tune-ups, tire alignment, batteries, electrical work, radiator and cooling system, AC repairs, and accessories galore. We offer pickup and drop-off service too. Call us today at 662-6545 or 662-6572. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Charm Flair Auto Services Limited, number 1 Industrial Lane, Charm Flair. We do it all.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newerattradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for?
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box.
Pay $1 down on higher purchase plans at Furniture Plus. Enjoy fast approval, low interest rates, and up to 36 months financing. Retirees, self-employed, and permanent employees apply today. Buy now, pay later with Furniture Plus credit plans. Conditions apply.
The public is demanding it, so the laughter continues. Your only foul to watch Corn is now at Central Bank Auditorium for 2 nights only. Saturday, October 25th at 8:30 p.m. and Sunday, October 26th at 6:30 p.m. Don't miss the play that some say is the funniest of all time. Tickets available now online and at the usual outlets. And from Monday, October 20th, 12 noon to 6 p.m. daily at the Central Bank box office. Your only foul to watch Corn has been matching up audiences.
All right, so we're back, and of course, this is the closing off minutes of the show, the breakfast show this morning. Of course, we spoke with David Abdullah concerning the budget this morning, and again, getting his sense of budget issues. Tomorrow, we may have Mariano Brown and maybe Garvin Nicholas to discuss further on our post-budget shows, which will probably go for maybe people weighing in on it throughout this week, I guess, as things become clearer and clearer. I know the debate is deferred until I think the budget debate starts on Friday. So that's when you also get some clarity as respective ministers articulate the various budget proposals. Specifically, we'd want to hear what the Prime Minister has to say on some of them, because the Minister of Finance did indicate that the Prime Minister would be addressing certain issues. So we'll see how it all goes.
Yeah, just before we go also, a couple of things just to let people know that the drive time exchange later on with Tony Fraser, just after our 4 o'clock news. Tony will be looking at the budget and they will be stripping it down a little more. So he has economist Professor Patrick Watson will join him together with Dr. Vanessa James and also chartered accountant David Walker. They will be his guests inside the drive time. So you can please check out our YouTube and Facebook pages a little later on so you can join us for that. And if you want to get the budget, because we carried the budget yesterday, you can also check our YouTube channel where you can like and subscribe, and you could also check back on the entire budget. It's up there for you guys also. Yeah.
I hope you guys hear me. Hi and bye. Your tomorrow feels good. Right? Have a great day.
All right, so of course, this is where we wrap it up. We know you have a choice in what you watch and listen to on a morning, and we're glad that you chose us wherever you are on the planet. We're glad you chose us. Of course, New Era TT Radio, as Sir Charles just says, continues on newerattradio.com and New Era TT Radio on TuneIn. Have a fantastic day, whatever you do, and remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health. Have a great day, people. This has been The Breakfast Show.
Yeah. Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The Breakfast Show.